Hey there, HorseCenter fans. Matt and I are back with another exciting edition of the show. Matt, we are talking big races at Oaklawn Park.
That's it, Brian. Only place we can talk about big races. And we've got the Count Fleet, which is a 6 furlong sprint, and the Grade 1 Apple Blossom.
Two big fields, Matt, loaded with graded stakes winners. Good betting races, both of them. Watch Matt and I run them down right here on HorseCenter. Welcome to another exciting edition of HorseCenter, everyone. I am Brian Zipsy, and as always, I have the excellent pleasure of being joined by my co-host to the East Coast. That's Matt Shipman. How are you today, Matt?
I am good, Brian. Looks like we're back to Oaklawn Park once again for the big races of the weekend.
Absolutely, Matt, and they are big races. These graded stakes at Oaklawn came up with big fields, graded stakes winners everywhere you look. Really good betting opportunities in here, Matt. So let's not wait any longer. Let's jump to the Grade 1 Apple Blossom. It's going to run its race 10 on Saturday, mile 16th, $600,000, Matt. Field of 14. And for the favorite, you're going to have to look to the speed. Serengeti Empress coming off a big win in the Azeri Stakes.
A very big win, Brian. And when Serengeti Empress gets loose on the lead and opens up and clicks it into cruise control, she has been very hard to beat. But it doesn't always happen that way.
Yeah, absolutely. She has been beaten many times in her career, Matt. But I tell you what, I look at Serengeti Empress. Now, this field is one of the toughest fields that she's ever faced, and she does have speed on her inside and outside in the starting gate. But I look at Serengeti Empress, and I really, it sounds odd for a Kentucky Oaks winner, but I don't think she gets the respect she deserves. I think she was just put in extremely tough spots after that Kentucky Oaks win. I mean, she ran 43 and change, pressured in the Acorn. She ran 44 after a slightly slow break in the test. She was running against Garana and Kofefe. I think she's better at two turns, like she gets in the Apple Blossom. The last race was slop, but if you look at her record, she certainly can do it on a fast track. Joe Talamo, who got aboard her in the Azeri, is on her again, Matt. She's breaking from the 11 hole. She'll have to go to the lead. That's what she does best, but pressure could come.
Yeah, she will have to go to the lead, and like you said, that's what she does when she's a winner. And you're right. You know, the last year, as it has happened in many years, the 3-year-old filly division has been filled with very talented horses, and that was the case in Serengeti Empress's campaign last year. A lot of those talented horses haven't come out this year for a variety of reasons. I don't know. I don't see that kind of speed that you mentioned that came in some of her defeats in this field. There's a couple other horses that like to be on or near the lead, but I don't see those fast fractions.
No, I really don't either. I think the most speed she has is directly inside her Cookie Dough, a really nice Florida-based filly for trainer Safi Joseph Jr. But Serengeti Empress, part of the reason I'm excited for her this year, Matt, is because she ran in races that I don't think set up for her style. In the Acorn, like I said, 43 and change pressured at a one-turn mile at Belmont. Really remarkable that she held on for second after 43 and change in that flat mile. And then in the test, she broke behind Kofefe. She rushed up in 44 flat, and she gave Kofefe everything she wanted until the last 20 yards or so. I think she's more the type of horse who wants to get on the lead in these two-turn races. Having said that, Matt, it's a difficult race. There's some speed like we talked about, but there's also a gaggle, if you will, Matt, of good graded stakes winners in here. Let's start on the far outside with Cece, a daughter of elusive quality who looks to be getting really good for trainer Mike McCarthy.
Yeah, that is for sure. Coming east from California for Mike McCarthy with 2 wins in 2 starts this year. And one of them came in the Beholder Mile, which is a Grade 1 out in California at Santa Anita. And stalking running style. All of the field, not just her, is going to have to be careful not to let Serengeti Empress get too far ahead.
What do you think about that 14 post for CC? In fact, the two horses on the far outside, Matt, are Lady Apple 13, CC 14, and they both like, as you said, they both like to stalk.
Yeah, I assume they're just going to let Serengeti Empress clear, which should happen pretty quickly. But you're right, Brian. With 13 others to contend with, they're going to have to. I don't know if they're going to try and show speed early on, or let Serengeti Empress go and try and tuck in. But chances are likely that CC will be a little bit farther behind than usual.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think she's not as close as usual, and that spells a little bit of trouble for me, Matt, because she's never been the distance either. The Beholder Mile was only 16ths shorter, but a different kind of race where she was able to stalk and pounce. Having said that, she won that easily, and she's only had 5 starts, and she looks like a real up-and-coming star. I just don't like the spot for this race in particular for her, and I certainly don't like the post. Another one who might be in the same vein, CC's coming from the West Coast, really has done well at a mile or less, is Come Dancing, coming from the East Coast. And most of her best running has been at a mile or less, Matt, but she put together a really fine season last year as a 5-year-old.
Yeah, and let's just explain a little bit with Come Dancing about the fact that when you're looking at your PPs, you're going to see that Come Dancing is making her first start here for Dwayne Lucas. What has happened with Come Dancing is it's not really a trainer change per se. The ownership is not unhappy with Carlos Martin and what he has done with her over the years. It's just a matter of logistics, that it's very hard with what's going on with the quarantine things that they're doing at Oaklawn Park to keep everybody safe. It's very hard to ship from New York if you don't have horses already stabled at Oaklawn Park. So the ownership and Carlos Martin together asked Dwayne Lucas if they could send her out there early, put her in his name in her barn, and that allowed her to ship out there for this race. That being said, I don't think she is a 2-turn horse. When she has tried that, it hasn't worked out well. When she's going 1 turn, particularly in New York, those longer 1 turns, the mile and a quarter, the mile and 1/8, she's awfully tough.
Yeah. I think 1 turn in New York at the same distance, a mile 16th, is a little different than 2 turns here at Oaklawn Park, and for that reason, I don't like her as well either. She also, if you look at her record, she won 4 graded stakes last year, but they're all in New York, and we've seen horses, Matt, who are just both coasts, better in California or better in New York, and they don't carry that out of town quite as well. I worry about that a little bit for Come Dancing, because last year she shipped out to California. I thought she had a real shot in the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint. She really didn't run outside of New York very well at all. So Come Dancing making a return. She could have another big year now as a 6-year-old, but a horse I'm going to stay away from on the betting this time around. A horse I won't stay away from on the betting is a horse that together we've liked an awful lot, and it's about the picking the spot for Street Band for me to like her. I liked her in the Cotillion last year, Matt, and I think it's set up really well for her, where she was able to really rally. She stayed farther back than usual off a strong pace, and she made that run. I can see the same kind of scenario in here. I will say she's lost 3 straight times to Serengeti Empress. Now you get some odds. Now you get maybe more pace pressure. Watch out for Street Band again.
Yeah, I agree. It looks like she's going to get a good setup in here. And as you know, I've been a fan of Street Band in the past, and she could get a piece, but she's not going to be my top pick today.
Yeah, I like her. She was a consistent stakes winner last year, Matt. She won stakes all over the country. Shipping around is not a tough thing for Street Band. Also, I think she gets a better setup than those first 2 races where Serengeti Empress beat her this year. Another one I want to talk about for sure is Point of Honor. And I'm a little bit excited about Point of Honor in here. Sure, it's a tough spot, but for the same reasons I mentioned Street Band, a solid pace in which to rally. She's coming off a race that I think people were going to look at and say, oh, well, she's not as good. She lost an allowance race at Tampa. But that race at Tampa was fast, and it was just a prep, just a tightener for this filly who wants 2 turns and wants to rally.
Yeah, and the connections of Point of Honor are the type that are perfectly fine with using that allowance race to get her set up for a bigger race. So, yeah, I agree. I think she's got a shot to get in to get a piece of this race also.
Okay, I mentioned Lady Apple a little bit, and like Cece, I can't get excited about Lady Apple. I liked her in the Houston Ladies Classic when she won, but out of the 13 hole, she really wants to stalk and get a good trip. I think that's going to be a little bit harder for her this time, so I'm going to steer clear of that outside post. Another breaking from the outside post is Go Google Yourself, Matt, and I'm not saying that to you. That's the horse's name. Go Google Yourself. She's a stalker. She's right outside the speed of Cookie Dough and Serengeti Empress, but she's just very consistent, and she's getting better and better for trainer Paul McGee.
Yeah, I agree with that, Brian. She has won 3 out of her last 4 races, including the Bayakoa at Oaklawn Park for trainer Paul McGee. I agree with what you said. This is a horse that very rarely runs a bad race and looks to be getting better. And Go Google Yourself is going to be my top pick in this race.
Oh, okay. And I am decidedly not on Go Google Yourself in this one. I thought the Bayakoa was a weaker race than the Azeri, or certainly this. And if you look a few starts back, My Lady Curlin handled her, and My Lady Curlin, of course, was running behind Serengeti Empress in the last few. My Lady Curlin, a very good older mare who just retired. Go Google Yourself, I have big respect for her. I just don't think this is the spot that sets up for her. Again, she wants to be close to the pace and out there from the 12. She's going to try to chase Serengeti Empress. Tell me a little bit more why you like her so much, Matt.
I like her because of what you said, Brian, that I think she is a horse that is getting better. She has shown that she likes the track at Oaklawn Park. Yeah, she's going to have to run from a little bit farther behind than usual, but I like that she seems to be improving, and I like the odds that we're likely to get.
Yeah, absolutely. There's going to be a lot of good horses in this race with 8, 10, 12, even 15 to 1 odds. And Go Google Yourself is one that is very good, but there's just too many horses to bet, so she'll have good odds in here. Another one like that, Matt, breaks from the rail, and she interests me a little bit as well. Her name is Ollie's Candy. Ollie's Candy was getting pretty good on a switch from turf to dirt last year in California. In fact, she ran in the Breeders' Cup Distaff and was a decent 4th in there. She gets Joel Rosario on the rail. She's coming off a well-beaten 3rd last time in the Beholder Mile. But again, much like Point of Honor, I think that was a race that just didn't set up for her, and probably the first race of the year she wasn't at her absolute best. I think another one with good odds that could make some noise rallying is Ollie's Candy.
She was a Grade 1 winner last summer at Del Mar.
Yeah, Ollie's Candy, yet another horse to consider here in the Apple Blossom. I mentioned Cookie Dough. I think she's a really nice horse, but I think she's a really nice Grade 3 type. And trying to go with or pressure Serengeti Empress seems like a losing proposition for me in this one. One more I do want to mention, Matt, before we throw out the real long shots. Horologist is a really nice Jersey bred. She ran in the Monmouth Oaks last year and pulled off the upset. She was thrown to the wolves after that, and she ran a decent race in the Cotillion. She'll be high odds in here for sure. I mean, 20 to 1 is probably a low for what she'll actually be. But I thought she ran a very nice race last time in Maryland, and who knows, maybe she could surprise for a piece at big odds.
Yeah, I guess so. Jersey bred, that's good for you and I, Brian. So let's get to it. Who's your top pick, Brian?
Well, I think the best horse, unfortunately, is the favorite. I don't think Serengeti Empress will be will be super low because, like I said, there's just too many good horses in here to bet. Maybe 2-1, 5-2, which is probably a little low for how much I like her, because I think she's in store for a big year, but I think this is a tough spot. So she's my lukewarm top choice, but I'm kind of excited to see if she can get beat in here with the odds. I really like Street Band and Point of Honor to rally in this race. So I'm going to box those two with Serengeti Empress. I'll also throw in a bigger box with Ollie's Candy. Basically, Matt, I'm looking for horses to rally behind Serengeti Empress or with Serengeti Empress, or maybe both rally by her to get into exacta. So Street Band, Point of Honor will be the top two I use with Serengeti. Throw in Ollie's Candy, 3 ralliers, and I expect all of them to have good odds.
Yeah, that's for sure. And like you said, Brian, if things go Serengeti Empress's way and she gets loose on the lead and doesn't have much pressure, she's going to be really hard to beat. But I think this is the kind of race where you have to take a shot for her, maybe not to win, but still maybe get second in the race and use some other horses. And as I said, my key other horse is going to be Go Google Yourself.
All right, Matt, good luck with Go Google Yourself in the Apple Blossom. Again, folks, it's just a terrific race, this Grade 1 at Oaklawn Park. And Matt, I probably say this once or twice or maybe 6 or 7 times a year, but I think to date in American racing, this is the deepest field of quality we've had yet in the year. 14 and just 10 of them are really strong older females. Now, let's not sleep on the sprint. A couple races earlier, it's race 8. It's 6 furlongs, $350,000 Grade 3 Count Fleet, Matt, named after the wonderful Triple Crown winner even before either one of us were born. The Count Fleet usually has good sprinters, and again, it does this year, and this year it has a really big field.
Yep, field of 11, Grade 3 in here. And a tough field, and talk about a classic kind of 6 furlong sprint. This one's loaded with speed and at the same time has got some quality late runners.
Quality late runners, quality speed, Matt. What else could you want? Let's start with the speed. Bobby's Wicked One, I think, is one of the more talented speed sprinters in the country. He went off form a little bit last year, but I think he's really a talented horse. And of the speed, I like him back here. He might not be the preferred speed, though, with Hidden Scroll in the race. But it does look like Bobby's Wicked One. Hidden Scroll coming off a return race that was a monster against Cheap Brick Gulfstream. Mr. Jägermeister loves to win, and he's got a lot of speed. And share the upside, Matt. 2 starts ago, beat Whitmore. Last time they tried to take him off Mr. Jägermeister, I think they tried to go a little bit more after the lead early. So with Bobby's Wicked One, Hidden Scroll, Mr. Jägermeister, share the upside, those 4 at least. The first should fly early in the Count Fleet.
Yeah, it certainly should. I don't care what happens. I don't see any way that one horse is going to be allowed to get out loose on the lead, particularly when there are so many horses whose running style is strictly go to the lead.
Yeah, and for me, Hidden Scroll is a bet against in this race. Now, Hidden Scroll is obviously a talented horse. He's proven that more than once. He had one race. People are going to love it. They're going to see the time, and they're going to see the margin of victory. But I'm off Hidden Scroll because I don't think he can go with Bobby's Wicked One and a couple of the others I mentioned and put away a field of this class. So I'm hoping Hidden Scroll is the favorite. I think he very well may be, or at least bet pretty heavy. I am more afraid of Bobby's Wicked One of the speed. But Matt, let's start talking about all the good ralliers in this race, starting with, I guess, the Oaklawn veteran, Whitmore.
Yeah, Whitmore is just absolutely terrific. Let's remember historically that Whitmore won this race in 2017 and 2018 and is looking to become the first 3-time winner of the race. Of course, Matoli, the sprint champion of 2019, won the race last year. That's the kind of quality that the Count Fleet has had every year. 6 furlongs is Whitmore's preferred distance. He has won 8 times at Oaklawn Park in his career, where he's almost won $3 million. He looked terrific in his last race, winning at Oaklawn Park, rallying with a good pace. He's going to get a great pace in here. He's got an outside post with the 9-hole, which is where Whitmore prefers to make his move, wide and down the stretch. I don't know, Brian. Seems like everything's setting up for Whitmore. He probably is going to vie for favoritism, in my eyes, with Hidden Scroll. So you'll have to decide if the price is there and if Whitmore is your closer of choice.
Yeah, and I think Bobby's Wicked One will get that a bunch in here too. But like you said, two of those three favorites are speed. Whitmore, I don't think Whitmore's quite the horse. Pardon me for saying this. I'm a big fan of Whitmore. He's had a terrific career. I remember him on the Derby Trail, and he's been an excellent sprinter. He's obviously loves Oaklawn Park, but I just don't know if he's going to be worth the odds this time. He's coming off that nice win, which was maybe his best performance in a while. And I think, 5-2 on Whitmore in here, I'm just not excited about him. He certainly could win, loving Oaklawn and getting the pace he desires at 6 furlongs. But I'm looking at some other ralliers a little bit more. I think we should start with Flagstaff. I don't know if he's a true rallier, but I think in this race he sits mid-pack. And Flagstaff is, don't look now, Matt, but Flagstaff has really become one of the top sprinters in California in the last 6-8 months.
Well, Brian, I am going to look now at Flagstaff, and as you said, this is a very solid, graded stakes closer, and like 6 furlongs, he's coming into the race for John Sadler off a win at Santa Anita last month in the San Carlos, where he closed to get the victory. Sadler has been starting a lot of horses at Oaklawn. He's going to have to ship in, but like I said, Sadler's got horses out there in Arkansas right now, and we're going to get a preferred price for a closer in Flagstaff, and he's going to be my top pick in this race.
Yeah, Flagstaff, I mentioned Whitmore, Bobby's Wicked One, and Hidden Scroll all having to be bet, but I look at Flagstaff and I just can't find a reason why he wouldn't be bet too. Having said that, he could be the 4th choice, and the 4th choice in a big field. I mean, maybe you get 5-1 on Flagstaff, and looking at his form in California, 5-1 seems awfully good, despite this having a tough field. If he runs his race, he should get first jump on the speed. And I think if I had to pick one horse to beat in here, it would be Flagstaff. I'm interested to see if he's more in the 3-1 range or more in the 6-1 range. If he's closer to 6-1, yeah, you got to use Flagstaff as a likely horse to run a good race in the Count Fleet, coming off that nice win in the San Carlos. And then you got some horses, Matt, who really like to come from farther back, and I think they're interesting too in here, especially if we're seeing that 44 kind of early fractions that we should with the speed that's lined up in here. Horses like Lexitonian. I'm not a big believer in Lexitonian, but on his best, he can make some noise in here. Hog Creek Hustle, I think, is a horse who's really good, and when he gets the right pace to run at, he's a danger. I think he might like 7 more than 6, but I think he's been waiting for a race like this with a speed like this. So Hog Creek Hustle is certainly one you got to throw in. And I tell you what, Matt, I'm going to give you one of the longest shots on the I think Nitrous has a big shot in here. Nitrous is a horse I watched a lot last year. I think he had some bad luck here and there. I think he was too far out of it here and there. But Nitrous is a talented horse. He's always been. He came from way back to win the Bachelor at 6 furlongs at Oaklawn Park last year. It's his first race of the year, but Steve Asmussen, Ricardo Santana, the talent is there. He wants a lot of pace to run in a sprint. Nitrous, big price. He's actually my top pick.
Yeah, I mean, if he can be ready to run his top race, he's a threat in here. We've seen him make a big stretch run before. I just want to get back to a couple things we mentioned. I think Bobby's Wicked One is going to be wickedly overbet in this race. He's a throwout in this race for me. You might, if you look at the past performances, cursively, you'll see 2 big wins at Fairgrounds in his last 2 starts, but you got to look carefully and notice that those both were in 3-horse fields. I know he's fast, but he's running into Hidden Scroll in here, who I'm not so quick to dismiss. Yes, he got a lot of hype when he was a big winner last year as a 3-year-old, but then he went on the Derby Trail and didn't find any luck in those kind of races. Came back in his debut, another big victory. I think trainer Bill Mott has settled on the fact that this horse is a sprinter. I don't know if he's going to win, but he's going to knock heads with Bobby's Wicked One, and Bobby's Wicked One at possibly the favorite. I want no part of.
Nice, yeah, and Matt and I have different opinions here, but a little bit the same opinion. I want no part of Hidden Scroll as maybe the favorite either. Bobby's Wicked One, the thing about him is I think he just went off a little form last year. If you look at that Churchill Downs race, the Grade 1 Churchill Downs, 7 furlongs last spring, Bobby's Wicked One ran really, really a good race. He set a very fast pace. He was pressured the whole way, and Matoli was the only horse who could get by him at 7 furlongs. So I have a little bit more faith in Bobby's Wicked One than I do in Hidden Scroll right now. But it sounds like, Matt, we're off the speed anyway with Mr. Jägermeister and with the shared upside adding to it. So what Matt and I are both saying is look for horses to come off the pace. Matt likes Flagstaff a lot. I do too. I just want to use my long shot Nitrous. Those are going to be my top 2, but I'll certainly throw in Whitmore and Hog Creek Hustle as well.
Yep, that sounds like a very sound betting strategy.
Okay, Matt's top pick, Flagstaff. He's my second pick behind Nitrous the Bomb. All right, folks, 2 great betting races Saturday at Oaklawn Park. I hope you're excited to watch it. It's the only game in town really for big racing. There are, of course, several tracks still open, but Oaklawn Park has the quality right now, and certainly on Saturday. Matt, they also had some serious quality last weekend. And let's start with the big 7-year-old, Matt, Tom State Todd. I think he loves Keeneland. What am I getting at here? He loves Keeneland. We're talking about Oaklawn Park. Tom State Todd is a horse I could see winning the Breeders' Cup Classic here at Keeneland come fall. But I loved his return in the Oaklawn Mile.
Oh, yeah, Brian, without question. And you and I said going into that race that Tom's D'Etat was the horse to beat and has got some quality. And he sure showed it coming down the stretch. When he kicked it in, he just blew right by. Strong move that really, really pointed out the quality and the form that this now 7-year-old Tom's D'Etat has finally found.
Yeah, Tom State Todd is going up at the age of 7. One of the best horses in America, no doubt about it. But I'll tell you what, Matt, Improbable from the outside post, I think Improbable is proving himself that a mile is really a good distance for him. Improbable ran a huge race. Even from the outside post, he was able to get good position, and he made a winning move. And what I mean by that is he really made a move and taking over the race early in the stretch that are going to win 99% of the time. So that's why we're so high on what Tom State Todd was able to do. Yes, Tom State Todd likes slop, but Tom State Todd likes fast tracks just as well. So a big race by Improbable, and Tom State Todd still beat him.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. I thought Improbable was home free. I liked Improbable going to the race. I thought Baffert had him on the top of his game, and I think he was on the top of his game. He beat the rest of the field nicely, but no match for Tom State Todd.
Yeah, no match late, at least. Tom State Todd, big performance. Can't wait to see more from him. And Matt, got to give you props. Top pick, Oaklawn Stakes, the 3-year-old Mr. Big News, a horse who's bred to run long, maybe on turf. Mr. Big News, Brett Calhoun, got the first jump and made the most of it, running down that speed and winning at huge odds. Well done, sir.
Thank you very much. It's not that it's not that often you give out a 46-1 shot, but I liked him in the race. I thought things set up for him, and he was an improving horse, and the rest of the field had question marks in there. I know on Twitter that a couple of you HorseCenter fans used them, hit him, had the exacta. That makes Brian and I happy.
Absolutely. Mr. Big News will not be back in the Arkansas Derby. I think they're taking their time with him. This is a horse that's on a Giant's Causeway, who's got a lot of distance breeding, maybe a Belmont type of horse, maybe a turf type of horse. I don't consider him a real big threat, Mr. Big News, for the Kentucky Derby yet. In fact, I like the horse that ran second in this race just a little bit better. Farmington Road didn't get off to a great start from his far outside post. He was well behind Mr. Big News when they both came rallying into the stretch, and he made up quite a bit of ground in the stretch. Farmington Road, for trainer Todd Pletcher, is one that I liked him in this race, but he's definitely one to keep an eye on moving forward.
Yeah, and no doubt, if and when there are other big races down the road, you know that Todd's going to have him ready, and likely he'll win some of them. Yeah,
just doesn't have much speed yet in his career. All right, folks, that's the show. Oaklawn Park centric here at HorseCenter, but hey, the Apple Blossom Count Fleet, great races. Tom's Day, Todd and Matt's long shot pick, Mr. Big News last week. Big races at Oaklawn Park. Matt and I are going to keep talking about them all the way through the Arkansas Derby. Hey, Matt, can I get a parting shot from you today?
Hey, everybody, again, stay safe out there. Thanks for watching HorseCenter and joining Brian and I for our weekly fun. And, of course, I want to thank our producer, Brett Workman, for putting together the show.
Yeah, thanks to Brett, and thanks for all you out there watching. We're all in this together. I guess that's become a cliche, but we're all doing our best to keep everyone in the nation safe right now. So do what you have to do. We'll get through this together. Stay safe, everyone. We appreciate you watching. Don't forget, if you haven't yet subscribed to our YouTube channel here on Horse Racing Nation, you can go ahead and hit that little red button now. Also want to thank our sponsor, Matt. Our sponsor is Derby Wars, the best contest site out there. Next week, Matt and I will be back with another great edition of HorseCenter. We hope you join us then. See you next week.